I'm not your typical speaker. It's not that I'm not a good speaker or bad speaker or anything like that. I don't religiously study my slides. Each slide represents a thought. And I'm going to share a story throughout this presentation. And I hope that each and every one of you gets something out of this story. And it's a powerful story. It's a story of content promotion. And it's an often overlooked story in our business. Now, I've been in this business a long time, in some form or fashion since late 2001, early 2002. And I've seen things change and evolve over those years. And this is a culmination of my thoughts around that evolution and how we, as a company, Relevance, has attacked the problems and the challenges that we face as marketers every day. That's what we're going to talk about today. But before I do that, I have a few housekeeping things. First off, please, everyone tweet to HubSpot with the hashtag inbound15 to put me in a bigger room next year. Please do that. But before I jump in here, I want to let you guys know a little bit about me if you don't know already. I served over 10 and a half years in the Army, the U.S. Army. I was a commander. I had my own company of soldiers that I commanded. That's where I got this. Every week, sometimes twice a week, I do a mastermind session with some of the top executives in our industry. And we sit down on Google+, on Hangouts. And we just talk about their challenges, their wins. And it's interactive, and I do this every week, and it's my way of keeping my finger on the pulse of our industry and what's happening in real time. I'm going to pass this out. I'm going to pull 5 business cards out of here for my next mastermind session. So if any of you want to be a part of that mastermind session, please put your card in here, and we will get a hold of you probably in the next week. So I'm going to go ahead and start here. Sir? By the way, that's heavy. Imagine putting that thing on your head. It sucks. Anyways. So, quick announcement. This is so funny to me. 2 weeks ago, I was asked by the Indiana University Kelley School of Business to be a professor for them. I'm just an old soldier, right? I don't have a master's degree. I'm just passionate about this business, and I'm passionate about sharing what I've learned in this business. So technically, I guess I'm a college professor now. Anyways, I encourage and challenge each and every one of you, if you ever have the opportunity to shape the future of our industry and teach college kids digital marketing, do it. They need it. The professors I talk to are traditional old school marketers, and they don't get inbound at all. Those students need people like us. And that's why I stepped up to the plate. By the way, being a professor, an adjunct professor, doesn't pay shit. But the truth is, I would have done it for free. Because I want to have a hand in the future of our industry, and I feel like giving back in that way is a good way to do that. So I encourage and challenge each and every one of you to do that in the future if you have that opportunity. So this is what I'm going to talk about. I don't like bullets. I will not read bullets. I'm just going to share thoughts. I'm going to tell stories, okay? But this is what I'm going to talk about. On its surface, it doesn't really make sense, does it? What's a content explosion? That's a content explosion. Unless you've been hiding under a rock the last 5 years, each and every one of you have seen the amount of content double, triple, quadruple on the internet. It's crazy how much content is on the internet, and it's only growing. Part of that's HubSpot's fault. It is. Guess what, folks? The secret's been let out of the bag. It's no secret anymore that inbound marketing works, right? So maybe you were an early adopter. Maybe you were the first in your vertical, in your industry, to do inbound marketing. And you blew up. It helped shape the growth of your company. Maybe, well, is Marcus Sheridan in here? You know his story? Look what it did to his company. Fast forward to today. Those competitors are doing content too. Because the secret's been let out of the bag. What happens when you're in an industry where you have 500 other competitors all creating the same type of content you create? What happens to your visibility? It becomes crowded, it becomes noisy. This is how much content is produced every second, information every second on the internet. That's a ridiculous amount of content and information. That's what you're competing against with inbound marketing, with content marketing. Look at how many blog posts you're competing against. That's how many blog posts are published and written every single day, and it's only growing. How many of you have slaved over some article for hours, hit publish, and nobody read it? I've done it. I've written over 800 articles in my career, and the vast majority of every single one of them failed to meet my business objectives. The vast majority of them barely got read, but I kept creating content. This is a fact. If any of you work for an agency and you have a blog, you know this story. If you were to start a new marketing agency tomorrow from scratch and you started blogging, how the hell are you going to stand out in the crowd? There's tens of thousands of marketing blogs out there. So I don't know if you've had a chance to read Mark Schaefer's book, The Content Code. I read it. It's a great book. I recommend it, by the way. Mark Schaefer's a friend of mine. This is one of the things that he discovered looking at data from the Content Marketing Institute, as well as, I forget who else did the study with him, but somebody else did a study with him. There's going to be 5 times more content in 2020 than what there is today. 5x. So for you marketers out there that are struggling today to get the visibility that you need, what do you think it's going to be like in 5 years? It's going to be like this. It's going to be really, really tough to stand out, even more so than today. So my question to you is, how does this make you feel? I got good news. If you listen to me, you don't have to panic. There is a way. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So, I talked about the waning visibility. The truth is that we've been told by a lot of different people and a lot of different brands that if you build it, they will come. And search and social media is going to bring them to us. They have been, since their inception, the gatekeepers of our visibility, of our content. However, what channel on the internet commands more audience exposure than both search and social combined? What channel? Email can, yes. But email, you have to capture their email address unless you're going out and buying lists. And please tell me you're not going out and buying lists. Okay. So before you can get their email address, they have to get to your site somewhere, right? I'll tell you that channel. That channel is the combined audience of every blog and media outlet on the internet today. The company that figures out how to tap in at scale to those audiences is the next Google. The next Google. And guess what? It's going to happen. And it's happening right now. And we're going to talk about it. Again, unless you've been under a rock the last few years, you are all aware that Facebook has cranked down their visibility. And guess what? They're not the only ones doing it. A year ago, this month, Twitter came out publicly. I believe it was their CFO. Twitter said, we kind of like this thing Facebook's doing. We're going to do it too. Why? Because it's a proven business model for social media. Social media starts and builds this audience, these people that use their network, and then they attract brands. And the brands are interacting with all these people, and all these marketers, and all these other folks. And they build these large audiences. And then the social media outlet pulls the rug out from under them and says, we're going to take your visibility. Pay us and we'll give it back to you. That's what's happening. It's happening right now. And Twitter, I promise you, will not be the last social media website to do this. It's a proven business model. Again, if you listen to what I have to say today, you don't have to panic. I know it sounds bleak, but I'm speaking truth to power. This is the truth. This is what's happening to us. Now, do we have any beekeepers in the audience? Okay, if we had one, I'd tell them, you probably don't have to worry about this because there's not many beekeepers doing inbound marketing, right? But for the rest of us, this matters. So real quick, let's talk about search. I came up in search. I came up in SEO. That's how I started my career. I'm very passionate about search to this very day. But search is changing. It's changed a lot in the last 5 years. And there are only 10 positions on the first page of Google. In a world with 500% more content than what we have today, how the hell are we going to stand out with only 10 positions on the first page of Google? How? This quote right here, I used it last year at Inbound, and 2 months later, for some reason, it ended up in Entrepreneur magazine. I don't know how that happened, but it's true. Think about it. If you've been in this business for over 3 years, you know how much search has changed. SEO today, while there's still some technical aspects of it, you want to make sure you know what your keywords are. You want to have conventions for all your metadata and other things like that. You want to track what's happening with search. But if you want to do well in search, what do? You do great marketing. You do great content marketing. You do great inbound marketing. You do great digital PR today. So the fact of the matter is, SEO is not something that you do anymore. It's what happens when you do everything else right. That's SEO. Because there's only 10 positions on the first page of Google, I do believe that they're facing an inherent problem in a world with 500% more content. And this is the problem. I don't believe they're built to handle this much content. So it's going to be critical for us as marketers and as communications professionals to make sure that we're able to promote our content and get the visibility that we need and not necessarily have to rely on search in a world with 500% more content than what we have today. Again, don't panic, because what I'm going to go over today is going to help you overcome this. So what's filling the void? That's where content promotion comes in. Now, some of you sitting here think that content promotion is simply tweeting out your content or paying for a placement on Facebook or maybe doing display advertising might be content promotion. Yesterday's traditional digital paid channels, that whole infrastructure is not built for the content that we produce today. It's not built for top funnel content. It's built for mid to bottom of the funnel content. What do we know as marketers about our top funnel content? The investment we make at the top of our funnel on content is not the end game. We have to continue to invest to nurture those folks down to the middle, down to the bottom of our funnel, and mark closed won. There's additional investment that needs to take place, not just writing blog posts, right? So as a result, the traditional channels of content promotion like display advertising and PPC are not built for our top funnel content. What we pay for those, well, actually, why would we pay to distribute blog posts on pay-per-click when we can promote a case study, a coupon? It's much further down the funnel, right? Why would we waste our money at the top of the funnel on those channels? As marketers, we're not wasting our money on those channels. We're spending our money in other places, on other channels, to promote the top of the funnel content that each and every one of you produce on a daily basis. And we're going to talk about those channels. I have to bring this up when I talk about this. The fact of the matter is that 60% of the people in this room think their content is not working. It's a fact. Think about all that content that we produce as marketers. And most of us think it doesn't work. It's not driving the goals that we set out to achieve. That's a problem in our industry. So Ryan Skinner did this study. He works for Forrester. Ryan, I've talked to him several times, major thought leader in this space, in content promotion in general. But he did a study back in, I think, late 2012 or 13, where he figured this out. As marketers, we're all racing to produce the most content, right? What he figured out was if you cut back on how much content that you produce and actually spend time promoting it, you can get better results. He also figured out, because you know the whole content quality versus quantity debate, which is stupid, by the way, he figured this out as well. If you focus your attention on promotion, you're going to accelerate your feedback cycle, hence making your content higher quality. So I'm really starting to run out of time, so I'm going to speed this up, folks. I'm sorry, I got a late start on this. These are the channels of content promotion: earned, paid, and owned. Now, I know each and every one of you in here follows HubSpot's inbound methodology because that's why you're here. HubSpot's methodology focuses on the owned channel. 5 years ago, you could build it and they would come. We're in a new world today, and in 5 years, there's going to be 5 times more content. The world of build it and they will come is over for most industries. That's why it's critical that we understand as marketers that there are 2 other channels to promote your content: earned and paid media. So David Ogilvy, the father of advertising, he actually has a room at HubSpot named after him, I believe. He's a legend if you're not familiar with him, but this is a quote from him. And I believe it's from the 40s, maybe? It's old. It's been around. But what he did was, he foresaw in this quote, whether he knew it or not, the problems that we face with banner advertising. This is a heat map that shows how much visibility these banners are actually getting. None. And as a result, I'm not done. Any Navy SEALs in here? No? Anybody get into MIT in here? Somebody's got to raise their hand. All right. Well, then none of you clicked on bannerets today. So, Google Trends, cool tool. I like to use it. Check this out. The interest over time for banner advertising. The interest over time for native advertising. Remember what I said earlier. The company that figures out how to, at scale, tap in to the audiences of the media and blogs is going to be the next Google. That's a top funnel content channel for us to use. And this reflects the interest in that over time. So when I talk about native advertising, there's really two things I'm talking about. So the IAB has these standards. They define what native advertising is. In our world of top funnel content, these are the two channels that matter the most. We've got your in-feed units. That's like your promoted newsfeed article in Facebook, right? It can also be, an in-feed unit can be the orange is the new black article that Netflix put in the New York Times. That's in-feed, right? Top funnel content. And then your recommendation widgets, we have probably all either experimented or checked out Outbrain, Taboola, Rev Content, AdBlade, and on and on and on. So this is what's happening as a result of the interest in native advertising. All social's gone to it almost. What else is happening? Hey, search engines are buying native advertising companies. This isn't generally known in our industry, but since October, Google has had their own native network in private beta. Google, the 800-pound gorilla in the room. Their network's different. They will have content recommendations, just like Taboola, Outbrain, AdBlade, Rev Content. But they're going to do something else. They're going to have sponsored articles. At scale, they are going after and partnering with premium publications, media outlets, and your run-of-the-mill blog, mommy blogger, right, runs the gamut. As a marketer, as a brand, you're going to be able to go into Google's system, write an article, and submit to the publications that you want to submit to. And if they accept it, you do the transaction through Google. 800-pound gorilla Google they got their hand in the pot, and you just got access to a huge audience, right? At scale, tapping into other audiences. So, sponsored content is growing. It's becoming very, very, very popular. I'm sure you've seen many famous examples. But this is how much brand marketers spent on sponsored content in the year 2013. And that number is growing. It's a channel for us to use as marketers. It is growing. And this speaks to that. Publishers are seeing the value in it. Publishers online have been struggling for decades to figure out how to build a business online. Many have gone out of business. Mainstream media are closing. They're closing their foreign bureaus. They're laying off. They're laying off journalists. It's really sad, actually, what's happened to the state of our media because they can't figure out their business model. Good news is new media is here now. BuzzFeed, right? Viral Nova, Huffington Post, so on and so on and so on. They figured it out. What are they doing? They're doing this. And marketers are starting to figure out that this is pretty cool and it works. So this is what some mainstream media outlets are charging us to publish sponsored content. There's money in sponsored content for these publishers. And you know what? marketers and brands are paying for access to their audience. So, I just talked about native advertising. This is a native advertisement. We did a study. We contacted over 1,000 publishers, and we asked them, what do you charge for sponsored content? And they told us. Well, 550 of them told us. And we wrapped all that up into this study. The study is filled with lots of nuggets about sponsored content that you can download off of that bit.ly link today for free and use in your future content promotion efforts. So I highly encourage everyone to download this guide. By the way, if you don't get the URL now, you can get the slides, and the URL is in the slides. So now I talked about paid media. Paid media is a powerful channel that we can use, but guess what? We don't all have massive budgets. I get it. I've been a poor marketer my entire career almost. Okay? I don't have a massive budget. So I have to rely on earned media, right? I know people that write for Forbes. I know people at Moz. I know people at HubSpot. I know people at Inc.com. When I produce content, I contact them and I say, hey, I just created this content. I think it's cool. Check it out. If you like it, maybe you'll write a story about it. And they do. They do. I once had 800 leads for my business over the course of 2 weeks from an article written on Inc.com about an ebook that I wrote. An ebook. 800 leads. 2 weeks. Boom. That's the power of earned media. What's hot right now? Influencer marketing's hot right now. Everybody's talking about it. Influencer marketing SaaS platforms are cropping up all over the place. I know because they all get a hold of me and they want me to talk about the product. Right? Influencer marketing is media relations 2.0, the tried and true public relations tool that if you're a PR or communications professional in here, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Walmart has a whole team dedicated to reaching out to local media outlets trying to get them to run stories on Walmart. What's the difference between Walmart and what we're doing? Walmart's pitching their brand, their products. We're pitching our content. We're pitching our content to influencers. We're pitching our content to the media to cover. Right? That's where influencer marketing comes in. This is huge. I get 3, 4, 5, 6 pitches every week from companies wanting me to participate in some type of content creation or an interview or something. Why? Because influencer marketing is a hot thing right now. And guess what? It works. It works. If you can identify 12 influencers in your industry and you get them to participate in some of the content that you create, guess what? They have a vested interest in the success of that content. And guess what else? They have an audience. They have an audience that they will promote that content to. And it generally, depending on your industry, generally they won't charge you to do some type of influencer collaboration. I've never made anybody pay me. Shit, they wouldn't. So, this is actually a really sad statistic. Some of you sitting in this audience are thinking to yourself, wow, we don't spend any time, energy, effort, budget on content promotion. Ours is 0. Remember in the beginning I said 38% of all B2B marketers do not believe their content is achieving the business objectives they created it for. On average, this is what they spend on content promotion. This is a recipe for failure. If you get one thing from this, and one thing only today, I want you to get this. As inbound marketers, as content marketers, you need to invest 40 to 60% of your time, energy, and effort, and budget on promotion. Earned, paid, owned. Earned, paid, owned. 40 to 60%. Now, relevance as an agency, our clients generally spend about 45% of their budget and our time, energy, and effort on content promotion. But for those of you in the agency world, you know clients never spend what they should. They should spend more, right? Of course. When I look at the numbers, I see, well, if they would have gone to 50, 60%, this campaign would have been even more successful. So that's why I say 40 to 60%. All right, I'm really going to speed up now because I've hit my time and we started 10 minutes late. So why are companies and marketers investing in content promotion? Is to fill that void left by search and social, by the only 10 positions on the first page of Google, by the fact that the visibility in social media is rapidly declining, is almost zero in some situations. Marketers are struggling to find that solution, and that solution is some of the things that we just talked about, native advertising as well as influencer marketing. Oh, by the way, thanks for stopping by. Appreciate it. No, you're fine. So real quick, I'm going to talk about blurred lines. That's Jimmy Kimmel, by the way. That's not his real video. So there's some trends happening. It's important that each and every one of you understand these trends because these trends are important. These trends set this macro vision of what's happening on the internet. And as marketers creating content, we need to understand these trends. This is happening. The media are building real marketing agencies internally or they're buying them. And here's a few examples. And there's a lot more. They're all doing it. HubSpot has its own program for publishers where they encourage publishers to build the ability to do full-fledged inbound campaigns. This is real. It's happening. What else is happening? Big news story? Sure, Amazon didn't buy the Washington Post, but Jeff Bezos did. By the way, there's a room over at HubSpot named Jeff Bezos. They're not the only ones. Adobe owns CMO.com. You read that? I'm sure most of you have. Joe Pollitt of the Content Marketing Institute has been talking about this for years. Why build your own content marketing program when you can just buy an audience, right? This is happening. This is a real trend. What else is happening? Agencies are becoming publishers. Now, I didn't give you a spiel about relevance. I hope many of you have been familiarized with relevance.com. That's our website. Relevance is an agency. We're an enterprise-serving agency that does content marketing, research, promotion. We're also a real digital magazine. A real digital magazine. We don't have a blog. We have real sponsors. This is happening. This is real. Companies are doing this right now. This is a trend. This is a trend. This is real. It's happening. Why am I telling you about these trends? Because I'm going to explain to you something that you probably haven't heard before. And some of you are going to tweet this, and I'm going to get some people that yell at me on Twitter. I guarantee it. But I've been thinking about these trends a lot in the last 6 months. And what they've told me is that content isn't king anymore. We've all been told content is king. By the way, a buddy of mine took this picture at Disney World. And he gave it to me and he said, Chad, will you put this picture in your presentation? I said, yeah, I'll put this picture in my presentation. That's a badass picture. So he's not a professional photographer, but he took this picture and he's actually featured in the Walt Disney World coffee table picture book, which is awesome. So if you want to see more of his stuff, go to juddhelms.com. So, native advertising. So content is no longer king. If you really stop and think about the trends that I just described, it didn't really talk much about content, did it? Audience is king. Audience and access to that audience and being capable of persuading that audience is king. Audience is king, not content. That's why those trends are happening. The media are building agencies not because they need more content and not because they need to grow their audience. They're doing it to persuade their audience. They're doing it to give brands access to their audience and the ability to persuade them. So, I'm 4 minutes over, and I'm going to really fly through this one. I told you briefly about relevance and the fact that we built a digital magazine. Now I'm going to explain to you how we built that magazine and the steps and the tactics that we took to go from 0 subscribers to over 60,000 subscribers in an oversaturated content marketplace over the course of 14 months. So, without further ado, this is the landscape for marketing content. This is noise. What I'm about to share with you will make you stand out like that red dot. These are the things that we did. So, our agency started off in 2006 as Slingshot SEO. And as Slingshot SEO, we saw a lot of success. We worked with a lot of awesome brands. But as we all know, SEO has changed. It's fundamentally changed in so many ways since 2006. And as a result, we've evolved as a brand. So in 2012, I was brought on to be a change agent in the company. And I rebranded the company to Digital Relevance. Now, we did the rebrand, but one of our founders had a vision. He came into my office and he sat down and he said, "Chad, why should we buy and earn media when we can be the media?" Take that, coupled with all those trends I just shared with you, and the light bulb went off. You're right. Because the fact of the matter is, the blogs that we produce content on and publish on a regular basis are indirect channels of revenue for us as marketers and as brands. They're indirect. They drive leads that we still have to work and check the closed won box, right? Well, we wanted to fundamentally change that. We said, no, we've got audience. We can get sponsors. They can pay us. I mean, this is really sick if you think about it. Other companies pay us to produce content for us, for our leads. That's crazy. But it works. We're doing it. So just a few months ago, we actually took the brand Digital Relevance and Relevance, the digital magazine, and we squashed them together under one brand, Relevance. And this is it. And you can see over the course since 2006 till today, we've won many awards. This is our latest. This is the one I'm most proud of. The Content Marketing Institute awarded us a strategy award for the highest subscriber growth this year. We beat Kraft and NewsCred and Kapost. Big names. Because we went from 0 subscribers to over 60,000 subscribers in 14 months using the content promotion that I just talked to you guys about. As a matter of fact, in 10 months, we were named the 19th most influential brand in content marketing in an oversaturated content market where there's marketing content everywhere. Every freaking agency on this planet is pushing out content like crazy, and we were able to accomplish this. And we did it using over 200 contributors. Danielle is our content coordinator. Danielle, look over here. Which, by the way, every single one of you is invited to write for Relevance if you'd like. Just hit me up on Twitter or Danielle, And we'll set you up with your own byline. That's your own earned media. You can share your thought leadership. You can link to your case studies, guides, ebooks, so on and so forth. So you all have an invitation. We've been able to get people like New York Times bestselling author Jay Bear to write for us. Jason Falls, who's speaking here, writes for us. Pam Didner, the former global head of content marketing for Intel, writes for us. Jeannie Dietrich is speaking here at Inbound. She writes for us. This is influencer marketing, folks. And each and every one of these over 200 unique contributors have their own audience, and they have a vested interest in their content doing well. So what do? They promote our content for free, the content that they produce. Oh, and we don't pay them. Again, I told you it's kind of sick to think about it. People pay us to create this content for us to drive leads for our agency. It's insane. So, I promised you I'd give you some 9 tactics, or I'd give you some tactics. Here's 9 tactical tots. I love this movie. Research. You have to do research. Research is inherently important in the activity that you do. This is a presentation all unto itself, so I'm not going to do a deep dive. These are the 4 buckets of research. Make sure you get this. When you do your research, you need to understand that these are the areas you need to focus on, and where they intersect is where you're going to get all the important information and the data that you need to make data-driven decisions. Research is key. Research is critical. What many of you don't do, and I never would do this in the past, was research the media. What is my audience reading? What's popular? Very important. So, the first one is pop-up checkboxes and recommendations. We ask every single visitor to our website to become a subscriber. I know there's purists in here that say, oh no, I hate pop-ups. I never use pop-ups. And you probably don't. But guess what, folks? It works. Do a search on Google. Read the first 10 results. They all say, hey, this stuff works. Because it does. Influencer marketing. Here's some folks that have written for us that we reached out to and developed real relationships with. Influencer marketing works. It's powerful. It's a huge content promotion channel. Most people don't know this. I actually write more for other websites than I do for our own website. Here's just a handful of them. And we've been featured in all of these big media outlets. We pursue these. We hit up journalists and we talk to them and we encourage them to cover us and to write about us and to link to our content. And they do. So if you're not trying to do influencer marketing or trying to do media relations to promote your content, you need to start doing it. It works, folks. Native advertising. Now, I've worked with every single one of these companies in promoting our content at scale through native advertising. Now, we are actually partnered with a company called Zamanta that's featured there. And Zamanta, they're not a sponsor, by the way. They don't pay us. We pay them. And they are a third party connected to 25 native ad networks. We average 7 cents a click is what we're paying. And at scale, we drive over 35,000 unique visitors to our website with the same bounce rate as organic traffic at 7 cents a click. That's dirt cheap, right? We also use social media, but what we discovered was that the cost per click on social media, if you do a deep dive into these numbers, is ridiculously high compared to other channels. So we don't do a lot of paid social media anymore. We did the experiments. Now, the founders, the brand, and myself, we've got access to over 100,000 people on social media that we're connected to. So we do broadcast our content organically in social media, and it does drive traffic and results. That's another way we do content promotion. Has anybody in here heard of list rental? We've got a few hands. This is the most underrated channel for content promotion that exists on the planet. List rental is not buying a list. List rental is me going to you and saying, you got a pretty large audience. They're interested in content promotion and content strategy. I'll tell you what. I'll give you $5,000. Pretend with me. Okay. If you take this ebook I wrote and promote it to your email list, tell them it's a good book and you like it, and then you send that off. Check out what that did. From one email, actually we only spent $1,200 on that email, and a lot of times I just do a barter, I trade. I'm like, hey man, I'll email about your ebook if you email about mine, and this happens. So this is the first thing I learned in sales in 1999 when I graduated from Indiana University, and that's fake it till you make it. I'm sure many of you have heard it. Essentially what we did was we said, what better way to look like an established online media outlet than to actually look like an established online media outlet? So we looked at TechCrunch and we said, hey, TechCrunch looks cool. Let's copy TechCrunch. This is their wireframe. What else did we do? We bought Relevance.com. Relevance.com is an asset that sits on our balance sheet. It was expensive. We had to hire a broker to buy it for us, right? What better way to fake it till you make it? Relevance.com, that's a cool domain, right? What else did we do? We bought, based on the social media terms and conditions, you can't buy social media accounts, so we bought Relevance, the Twitter handle, and several other social accounts with established audiences, right? Fake it till you make it. And the most important thing that we did was we focused on a niche. Joe Pollitt's been talking about this for at least 2 years, maybe more. But in an industry that's oversaturated with content, if you do not focus on a niche, you will be unsuccessful. This is the most important thing that we did as a brand. We focused on content promotion as our topic. It separated us from all the other agencies' websites out there because we had a niche focus. This is the second most important thing you can take away from this. I like this movie. Actually, the first time I ever watched this movie was in Iraq, actually. And we used to buy movies for like $5 off the locals. It was great. They were all pirated. Anyways. So here's some takeaways. I'm not going to go through them because I'm over time. But these are the things I want you to understand are happening in our industry. I knew they'd give me a lapel, so I wanted to drop the mic. So I used this one to drop the mic. All right, so the last thing, first of all, I want to thank everybody for coming to my session. This is my latest book that I've written. It's almost 100 pages of pure content promotion goodness. You see the URL, please feel free to download it. It is free. These are all my thoughts that go into very, very, very detailed positions around content promotion. It gets very tactical as well, so you will get lots of good takeaways. Folks, thank you.